Welcome to that 80s show and big news, Dori.
What is it, Paulo? What's the news?
The big news is if Grace Jones is your favorite artist from the 80s, your safe word is 475 syllables long.
Okay, I don't get the joke.
From a few weeks ago. Oh, this is a terrible start. This is a terrible start for an award-winning podcast. A few weeks ago, remember the thing that if this is your favorite 80s band or artist, this is something about you, and that was Grace Jones. It said, if she's your favorite artist, your safe word is a lot of syllables because she likes doing hurtful sex.
We assume. We don't know for sure.
We've heard all the stories about Grace Jones. We've heard about Dolph Lundgren. She bonked him coherent. Before Grace Jones, no one understood what he was saying. And then she bonked him. Now all is good, but we dropped it in there. You are listening for the first time because we record the show sometimes in advance. And Dori and I just really don't have the organizational skills to go back and re-edit shows. But if you've been following us on that 80 Show essay on Facebook, you would have heard that we won an award for this podcast. The Association of, or the African Podcast and Voiceover Association held their annual awards. We entered into the music category. We've been teasing it. A lot of you voted for us. And 2 weeks ago now it is, we were coronated. As the number coronated.
I guess it's true.
I mean, congratulations, Dori. I must say.
Congratulations, Paulo. You are the queen and I am the king. And those are two 80s artists that I've just mentioned.
That's fantastic. Does that make Barrett Prince?
Yes.
So, you know what? Listen, awards are great because they mean that we're doing something that people like, and we see every week people listen. So we're obviously doing something that you like. And of all the podcasts you could listen to in the world, you decided to listen to this one. So that's pretty cool. Am I saying we're the best? Are we officially the best music podcast in all of Africa? I can't say that. Are we the best 80s podcast in all of Africa? I don't think there's lots of competition. Yeah, for sure. Not lots of competition. So congratulations again, Dori.
And to you, Paulo.
And
it's
congratulations
a team effort.
to all your listeners. Congratulations
and thank
to all the
you
listeners.
for all your votes.
Indeed, and your listens. You know, that's Dori and I. I heard something fantastic today on another podcast I listened to, and one of the guys in the podcast is obsessed with the 90s. All his references are 90s references, loves 90s music, and they said, you know, you kind of like live in the 90s, but you just come to modern day for work. And then you go back to the 90s. And I felt like, that's us. Like we live in the 80s. We just come back to 2023 for work. And then we go back to the 80s. And, man, I don't think we can start off an 80s show with any other news besides what you two were up to this weekend. I never know where you stand on you two. Fan, not a fan?
It's a tough one. There are some songs that I really love. I think that Achtung Baby is a flawless album with not a bad track on it. Other albums, I like a track here or there. But I don't like the arrogance and all the other things that come with a band. You know, when they lost me, I was okay. I was okay with just being a part-time U2 fan until they forced their music onto all of our phones. Do you remember that?
You know, I do remember that, but what a lot of nonsense, because we all force all of our content onto people's phones right now. That's all we all do. They were just the first to do it. It's like, and they didn't make people buy it. They just said, here's our album for free. Like, if you don't know what you're talking about, I think they released, I think it was the iPhone 6 or something, iPhone 7.
Who remembers?
It came preloaded with one of their albums. I find nothing, because we all just want to get our shit on people's phones, Dori. It's called TikTok.
I don't know. But also Bono can be very annoying. He really can be.
Okay, I'm gonna I've got some stories for you. I've got a couple of things I wanted to listen. I still like U2. Sorry, love U2's 80s songs. Love it.
I've heard good things about the new album because it's all the old songs, right?
Okay. Look, U2 80s, Joshua Tree, Don't At Me. Love it. So many classic songs in there. Now, if somebody's going to fuck shit up, great album. If somebody's going to fuck shit up, it's going to be U2. You got to give them that. So if you know or you don't know, there is a thing. Now, Dori, LA, not LA, Las Vegas.
Yes.
Quite an ostentatious place, you might have heard. Lots of lights,
I've been there.
glitz. You've been there?
Yes.
This week I was saying so bad I want to go to Las Vegas. What did you do there? Can I ask? Because we know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
You can ask. I was doing a road trip. I was doing a road trip with a friend from Utah to LA, and we stopped in Vegas for one night because I wanted to. I was like, hey, I'm not driving through. We're going to stop, and I want to see the place. I want to check it out,
Got to do it.
There were a few things that struck me. First of all, this was in July or end of July, maybe beginning of August. No, it was July. It was end of July. Do you know how hot it is in the desert in America in July? Let me tell you.
I don't.
Approximately 40 degrees. Approximately 40 degrees.
That's not that hot, though. For desert in July, that's not that bad.
Dude.
Dry heat.
Even at midnight, it was that hot. Even at midnight.
Okay.
Oh,
that's great. I don't hate that.
So in the day with the sun beating down on you, it was probably closer to 45 degrees. It was very hot.
Dori does not like the sun. Dori does not like
the heat. I don't. No, I work hard to keep my paleness, my vampiric look. Yes. So we stopped on our road trip in Vegas, and the friend I was with had certain places he wanted to go because he had been there once before and he wanted to revisit certain places. I've never been there. It's my first time, right? I was struck by two things. First of all, the heat. Oh my God. And then the other thing was, it's tiny. It's a really small place. Like, it looks big in the TV shows. It looks like you'll drive down the strip and you'll be driving and driving and driving. You drive down the strip, 1 minute, you're done. You're done. You've gone from one side to the other. You're done. But what I really loved about it was the old side, because there's the new Vegas and then there's the old Vegas. And the old Vegas is so cool. That's where that big famous Marlboro Man sign is. And it's just also because I used to love, what was that show? There was a TV show that was set in Vegas.
CSI Las Vegas.
No, that's not it. Although that was great. No. Runaway. There was a show called Runaway that I think even was in the 80s. In fact, I should do it on the show. Anyway, it was a series. It was brilliant. But it was set in Vegas, in like the 50s and 60s when the mob was running the place. Yeah. Yeah. So it was all old Vegas. And I love that show so much. So seeing all the things that I had seen on the show was so cool. And then New Vegas was, it was okay. It was all right. But I'm not a gambler. My friend wanted to go and play some blackjack. I went with him. Oh, it was so nice because everything was air conditioned inside. So it was just lovely being in the casinos because of the coolness. But I'll tell you, there were a few, oh my God. So there's, obviously, you can get married in Vegas really easy. So there's all these little chapels. There was a drive-through wedding window that you could literally, like a McDonald's, but you drive through and get married. It was crazy. I got to ask, what kind of like low life person are you that not only are you going to get married in Vegas, you can't even get out your car? Right. What is going on here? Anyway, we did stop at one of the little chapels and went inside for a fun look. And they were like, "Oh, you're coming to get married?" And we were like, and I said to my friend, we could do it. We could do it just for fun. And it was like, it actually wasn't that simple. Especially as a non-American, it is not that simple. So we were like, no. We just wanted to check the place out. That was really fun.
Good to know. Good to know, because I'm super paranoid. One day I end up in Vegas. I may get drunk, like in Vegas, and then I accidentally marry somebody.
Like in The Hangover.
And then I'm like, oh man, now I'm married and now it's going to be awkward. And then you say it's hard. So it's like, okay, brilliant.
It's not that easy. I think they make it look a little bit easier in the movies for poetic license or whatever.
What? Never.
There was one thing that was a little bit depressing. There were a lot of pawn shops, as in PAWN, a lot of pawn shops with
of course.
so many wedding rings.
Yeah.
Wedding rings, engagement rings. That was a bit depressing. It was like, wow,
Reality.
Yeah, that was the reality. It was cool. We went swimming in the motel pool at like 2 a.m. because it was just too hot not to. And then my favorite part of the day was actually, I woke up early. I woke up at like 8 a.m. My friend was still sleeping. And I was like, okay, it's not too hot yet. It's daylight. And at this point, I hadn't gambled, right? Because I'm like, I'm not a gambler, but I'm like, how can I leave Vegas without having gambled? That's ridiculous, right? So I took a little walk at 8 a.m. And this was probably Sunday morning because I think we were there on a Saturday night. But anyway, either way, it was a morning and it was dead quiet. It was like the zombie apocalypse. No one anywhere. But all the casinos were open. But because they're 24 hours, right? But it was dead. I went into a casino, put $4 in a slot machine, $10 came out, and I was like, cool. And I took my friend for breakfast, and that was it. That was my experience of Vegas, and it was awesome.
What a high roller. You know what? You left Vegas a winner, and not many people do that. $6, but not many people. You know, you don't have to pawn your wedding ring. You don't have to pawn your Wham commemorative T-shirts. None of that. Like you got away scot-free. So what's happening in Vegas right now is not staying.
Yes.
It's coming out to that 80 show and involves U2. So they built this thing in Vegas. You know, there, Dori, you spoke of the different casinos. They got the Eiffel Tower. They got a whole bunch of shit there.
Yeah.
They built something called the Sphere, right?
Yes.
And in a segment called Where the Spheres Have No Name, I'd like to inadvertently go down a U2 rabbit hole. So this sphere it's a dome. It's a round building, right? And it's covered on the outside full of video screens. You may have seen this. I'm just recounting, and just catching everyone up, right?
In case you missed it kind of up.
Exactly, and it happens, right? A lot going on. And it's all video screens, so you can actually project or display. It's not projection. You can display anything on it. So they've done things like when they had the NBA Summer Series, they made it look like a giant basketball. So just a giant basketball building. Then they did one with an eye. Did you see that one? The blinking human eye.
Yes, it was so freaky. I did.
Oh, man. That's wild. So this giant human eye. When I first watched it, I said, there's got to be the best one that they're going to do, and they did it, is that they've got one that looks like the background. So it doesn't look like the building, which is quite funny.
It's like invisible, like
camouflages, right? So up till now, we've only seen the outside. We don't really know what's going on the inside. We haven't seen it. And the first band to take up residency at the Dome, at the Sphere, and I mean, the amounts are mind-boggling. We're talking like billions here, right, of dollars is U2, right? So I
thought you meant people.
Oh, no.
It looked like there were a billion people.
Here's the thing, right? So U2 now, their new concert are in the Sphere. Now, U2, did you see them both times when they were here?
I saw them once when they were here. They were here on was it the Pop or Zooropa? Okay. No, it was Pop.
Okay.
Pop,
it was Pop, right?
Yeah.
So U2 love a stage. U2 love a stage. So on Pop, they had that massive, the one thing I remember is the massive cocktail olive. Do you remember that on the stage?
Yeah, and it kind of looked like the McDonald's arches type thing. Yeah. Right?
So they loved that stage. Then when they were here, probably about like 15 years or so, they did the 360 stage where, normally you go to so normally you go to a concert and the stage is like kind of one half of the field in a stadium. The stage was in the middle and it rotated. So everybody got to stare them. Look at them. There was no back. It just moved around. And they were the first ones to do that. So they got to be the first ones in the Sphere, right? So we're going to put up on that 80 Show SA Facebook page some of these videos if you haven't seen them already. It is absolutely mind-boggling what is happening in this
do you know what the audience capacity is? Because it looks like there are hundreds of thousands of people.
So part of it's an illusion because obviously they can replicate the audience and the place just looks never ending because at the one point they actually open it up to look like the desert, and it just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. And then there is a part of the audience. It just, are they the audience? Are they a video? Or what is going on? There's one where they go into space. I don't know if you saw that one where
no, I didn't see that one.
Space opens up. Did you see the one where it looks like you're going through a tunnel? This like weird,
no,
trippy tunnel.
I've only seen one video which did show the desert, and it showed like this like really cool patterns and stuff, and it zoomed around. It was obviously someone in the audience, and it was like, oh my god, there's just endless people. And the stage was teeny tiny, far away, teeny. Yeah.
Now to answer your question, right? It can host up to 20,000 people standing or 18,000 seated.
Oh my god, that's nothing.
It's small, right? It's small,
that's
but I mean,
small.
listen, it is small, but I mean, it is once in a lifetime. And, so Dori said people filming. Now, when you film a screen, it normally doesn't look great because it flickers, the rates are different, whatever.
Yeah.
The people filming the screen, it is like HD. Like, can you imagine?
It's unbelievable.
There's no flicker. It's perfect. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen. Of course, you two doing it.
Inside the IMAX, but 360 degrees of IMAX around you.
It's like being IMAX. Like that's
literally.
It's so hard to describe it now. They're opening up spheres all around the world. The next one is starting. They're looking at development in London. I watched their video, right, of the sphere, the official. A little dot showed up on Cape Town. There was a little dot there as one of their venues.
Ooh.
So we may not have to go to Vegas to get the sphere.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, actually. But now, what this happened in this little segment called Where the Spheres Have No Name, I stumbled into, I actually want to read to you something, right? So I found this article on AV Club, right? And they review a lot of music, movies, whatever. So they basically collate all the different reviews of the this U2 concert, right? And all of it's like 5-star, never going to do it again. Like, this is up the game. How'd you compete? So this journalist, now just been very complimentary about the whole thing. And he says, the sphere is simply unaware of just how life-changing the thing is. And if that's the case, then there really can't be anything better for us to leave behind as a marker for some future civilization that says we were here and we built this fucking crazy thing. Very high,
okay.
Lots of hyperbole. It would have just been nice if it were associated with a cooler band than U2. That's unnecessary.
Okay, who else could it have been? Because, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan, but who puts on a better stage show? Let's be honest.
Oh, Beyonce, Lady Gaga.
No.
You're talking that wrong. Okay, but let's carry on down. Let's carry on down the street. Let's carry on down the street with no name in the segment with no point. We're gonna go right again on the AV Club because now they've bundled up for me all the different U2 information. So you'll never guess which famous rock band showed up to play at a subway station in war-torn Kiev, right? So. Just after the conflict, let's call it a conflict. Fucking, what do people call what's happening in Ukraine a conflict? It's fucking war, right? It's an attack. But President Zelensky, he invited U2 himself personally to come and host a concert for people in a subway. And they were using subways as bomb shelters and that. And how crazy is that? And of course, Bono is going to go. Bono loves that shit. Of course he's going to go.
He does.
In Kiev, him and Adam Clayton there, putting up the Edge, Bono and the Edge, putting on a performance in a Kiev subway. Fantastic, in the middle of the conflict.
Just the two of them.
Just the two of them. And then I find more information that J.J. Abrams, you know him, the director, done a couple of Star Wars.
Yeah.
He's reportedly making a U2 biopic series for Netflix, right?
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, so in this article, it kind of speculates, well, what's it going to be like? The biopics we've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, we saw Rocket Man. This is where I got to hate on U2 because obviously they're going to be involved. what's interesting about U2, literally their career is not interesting at all. Am I right?
Yeah, I suppose not. Yeah.
You know, because with Freddie Mercury and Elton John, you had a lot of things going on. U2 are
Although we might not know stuff. There might be stuff we don't know.
But if they're now in charge of the story, do you really think they're going to get into anything? Because the impression of U2 is, here is a band, started in the late 70s, never broke up, been touring all the time, try to save the world, do good stuff, no fallouts, no band member dies, just go from success to success to success. Like, I will not be watching that. I'm sorry, Netflix. I will not get a subscription. I'm sorry. Because
who's going to play Bono?
Bono himself. He's gonna CGI himself, an AI Bono, and they're gonna screen it in the sphere.
Oh,
and you're just gonna lie back and just watch Bono in all his glory. Like, Bono will play Bono. Very weird. I will not be watching that.
Do you know how many times I watched Zoo TV? Zoo TV, I mean, like I said, Achtung Baby, my favorite album of theirs. And that was the Zoo TV. That was the album, the tour, the whole thing. I watched that thing probably 100 times. It is still to this day a masterpiece. Honestly. It really is. Have you seen it?
Highly recommended from Dori. I can't say I have.
Huh. I think it might be on YouTube. Well, parts of it are certainly on YouTube. I don't know where you get it in its entirety, but it's literally just the tour.
Concert.
But the concert. But it's amazingly filmed. It was the first time that they really went all out with the whole stage show and props. They had the whole wall of TVs.
Yes.
Because it was, you remember that?
Yes.
It's really cool. It's really good. And like I say, I love that album. So I loved it because they played every song from Achtung Baby, as far as I remember. Pretty much every song on that video.
I think you're a bigger fan of U2 than you want to admit.
I am a very big fan of Achtung Baby.
What I have found, though, is that there is, I collect Funko Pops, and I have found a set of U2 Zoo TV tour with all 4 members of U2 as Funko Pops. So I would. Now I'm in. Now, Dori, you sent me something, got me very excited about it, and then I found out it's not real.
It's not real.
It's not real.
It isn't real.
So you need
But he's trying to make it real.
But I discovered something that I'm glad I discovered. So do you want to take it away? How much of the story do you know?
Who, Richard Simmons' story?
Richard Simmons and the Pauly Shaw wanting to make a movie about his life story.
I don't know much about that except for the fact that post that I sent you. That was part of a post on Facebook.
Now,
where
I'm an award-winning podcaster.
Yes, so you have the info? You have the factoids?
Yes. So I do the
Okay,
research.
you start and I'll jump in if I need to.
Okay, right. So Pauly Shaw. Ever tell you about the time I met Pauly Shaw?
I met Pauly Shaw too. I have a photo with him.
So do I.
We probably met him the same day.
The same day. Okay. Dori and I used to work at a radio station. Famous people came all the time. Pauly Shaw was there. It was the whole thing. But
we were the only 2 who cared.
I know.
Do you remember? Nobody else cared. Everyone else was like, who is that? We were like, are you joking?
So like, to give you comparison, when U2 came, right, to an interview at the radio station, we weren't even allowed off our floor while they were there. Because
we've told the story before.
Right? We weren't even allowed. Pauly Shaw was like, oh, who wants to come get a photo with Pauly Shaw? We're like, oh, we got to fight this. No, he's there. You're just standing there.
We're like, and me.
Hi. And he was fantastic. Him and when I forget his name, but the from Police Academy who made all the noises when he was here as well. Nobody gave a shit. Like,
yeah, except you. You were like, best day of my life.
I loved it. It was fantastic. But anyway, the offshoot of that is cousin Louis was so jealous of my photo with Pauly Shaw and Paulie Shaw was here doing a comedy show, he drove from the West Rand to the East Rand to wait for him to come out of his dress or out of the backstage to get a photo with him. And sent it to me and said, got him. That is not a well person that does that. It's called comeuppance. So Paulie Shaw, for years, if you think of Paulie Shaw in your mind's eye and you think of Richard Simmons in your mind's eye, very similar looking, like peak Richard Simmons, scrawny, curly hair, charismatic, short guy, lots of energy, right? So for years, people have said to Paulie Shaw, you've got to make a movie based on the life of Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons, if you don't know, blew up in the 80s. Specifically in America, wasn't so big here, and I've got a theory, doing home exercise videos, right?
Yeah.
Stay-at-home moms.
Well, he used to have classes first.
Oh, yes.
He had actual classes in LA that he would give, and they became so popular, and then it like moved to video and all that kind of stuff. But it started with him just doing actual classes in real life.
Yeah. Okay. So this was start. Then he started doing home video craze, and he just blew up. He became the guy. Now in South Africa, he didn't blow up because... guess what?
Too camp.
We had Body Beat. We had Body Beat.
We had Body Beat, and we didn't need Richard Simmons.
We didn't need Richard Simmons. We had multiples, which got me thinking. The Body Beat people are still out there. We've got to find them. We have got to find the friggin' Body Beat people.
Okay.
It's my new obsession. This is what happens. You go, best music podcast in Africa this year. How do you get better? Body Beat. Beat Boy, feel that body, Beat Boy. We got to find them. We got to find them.
Do we know their names?
We'll find their names, Dori. We know people who worked at the SABC at that time. We'll find somebody. I'm telling you, we've got to find the Body Beat people. We've got to get them.
Okay. We should put Barrett on the case. Barrett's good at this kind of thing.
Barrett used to do aerobics way back in the day, didn't he? Aerobic dancing. He bounces around a lot. He could have. I think this is it. This is how you raise the bar. It's called raising the bar, Dori.
Okay, so I've already found the guy.
Easy.
I've been
and
Googling.
The guy will put us in touch with the girls. Which guy? The blonde guy?
It's called Phil Joffe Fitness. And it says, Phil Joffe presented Good Morning South Africa's Body Beat exercise program on national TV. So I'm just clicking into the site. He's got dark hair and a beard and moustache.
It's fine. He'll put us in touch. Him, he'll get everyone. He'll get the gang back together.
He presented Body Beat for 10 years. Oh, come on.
He's got to be the guy.
Right?
He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy.
There is a contact on this website. Okay. We're on it. Watch the space.
My heart is pounding.
To the beat of Body Beat.
Dr. Phil Joffe.
Yes.
I don't know if he's doctor like Dr. Dre, but qualifications, on his degree. Yeah, this is legit. This is happening. This is happening. You heard it here first. Okay, right. So that's why Richard Simmons, we had Dr. Phil Joffe. It was all happening, was the whole thing.
He is our Richard Simmons.
He is. And that's why we didn't need him. So Paulie Shaw for years wants to. Okay. And it never quite happens because
Richard Simmons is in hiding.
He's in hiding.
He has gone off the radar. There's a whole podcast. There's a whole podcast called Finding Richard Simmons. It is brilliant. It is about this guy's quest to find him and check that he's still alive because he completely disappeared from public life. I don't know how long ago. Years ago. No, this is true. This is true. Richard Simmons disappeared from public life a few years ago and has not been seen or heard from. And there are a few people who say, oh my God, he died and someone's covering it up. Right?
So the story is...
yes.
You listened to this podcast, right?
I did, yes.
Okay. I'm just hearsay. Take it away.
No, you've got to listen to the podcast. It's brilliant. Anyway, the whole podcast is this guy's quest to try and track him down, and he's talking to all people who knew him. He's speaking to people who used to go to his classes and people who worked with him over the years, and they're all like, we don't know what happened. We don't know what he just suddenly stopped, returning our calls and like, so there's this whole mystery, and you get it and you're thinking, oh my God, like it's not going to be resolved. And in the end, it isn't really resolved, but there is apparently proof that he is alive. He is alive. Well, It depends if you're a conspiracy theorist, right?
No, so the article I got, he was missing 2017, went missing for 1,000 days, right? So it's
Right.
3 years, right? He's gone missing. They eventually track him down. Oh no, he vanished suddenly in 2014. They found him in 2017. And they did a wellness check and revealed him. He's living reclusively. He had a surgery. He's posted a thank you to the medical staff about his surgery, and due to the surgery, he's decided to live away from the public life.
So maybe like something plastic surgery that went wrong, or something like that. Something. Yeah.
We are not a show that speculates. We only deal in facts.
Yeah.
So
anyway, basically, he is just refusing to speak to anyone in the media or anything. Refusing.
Anyone. He's been in touch with Paulie Shaw because, Paulie Shaw's mother owned a very famous comedy club in LA, one of the most famous, right? Everybody went through that comedy club through that period. And so everyone knows Paulie Shaw's mother from then. So Richardson was like, listen, I love the work you've done. Your mom was fantastic. She was always cool to me when I saw her around. But at this point in time, not going to happen. But the two best things that have come out of the story is that they've done a mock-up, because that's what I was convinced, because the poster looks legit.
Yeah. So that's only one poster. A whole lot of Paulie Shaw's fans have made a bunch of posters to say, make this happen.
Whoa. A lot of the stories, there's parts that you got to go, this isn't true. When you say a whole lot of Paulie Shaw fans, I didn't do any posters. I know you didn't do any posters. So
some other Paulie Shaw fans.
So
in America.
In America, maybe he or she did the poster.
No, because he posted on his Facebook page about thank you so much for everybody who submitted these, and that one that I sent you is the one that I liked the most. So I was like, oh my god, check this out. But yeah, it's just people going, please make this happen. And he had to do a post saying, I really want to make this happen. I've spoken to him. It is not on the cards at this point in time, unfortunately.
I'm going to monitor.
Because obviously Richard Simmons has to say, yes, you can make the biopic of my life.
Exactly.
So it's not going to happen at this point in time. Because he's like,
the story's lovely. Yeah. It's developing. It's a developing story. You work in news. It's a developing story.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that 80 Show SA Facebook page, because I know our fans are going to start submitting fan art of our interview with Body Beats. We're going to bring Body Beats back together.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the fan art I'm looking for. Oh, shit, got to get the Body Beats back. Got to get them back together. Got to get the Body Beats back together.
Can you imagine?
Man, it'll be...
Okay, we're on a mission.
It'll be funnier than the time we interviewed Hadaway and got the second interview of the stuff that was too hot for broadcast, even for podcast. This has got to happen. Raising the bar. Hold our trophy, because we're coming for the best podcast again next year. Now, we love movies on that 80 Show. You may have noticed every week we recommend a movie. I regret what I've done. But first up, Dori, I want to hear what movie you're going to tell the lovely people about this week. I wouldn't say watch, about.
You regret what you've done. I'm hoping that means that your movie is so silly and so ridiculous and so light, because we need that. We're going to need that as an antidote to my movie this week, which is the pinnacle of arty, serious, controversial. Like, are you ready? Take a breath. Are you ready?
Okay. Let's go.
My movie came out in 1988, but it is set in before the year 8. Let's put it that way.
What?
My movie is I'm just going to go right into it. I'm going to talk about The Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh, Dori, my word.
Yes.
My word. You have gone full in there.
I've gone back to my art school roots, to my film school roots. We're back there. I listened to Willem Dafoe was interviewed on Smartless recently, and he spoke about playing Jesus in this movie. And I was like, do you know, I don't think I've ever seen this movie. And I remember it was hugely controversial when it came out. Massively controversial because, in case you don't know, it's based on a book that imagines a different story for Jesus Christ, not the one that we know of from the Bible. It's an imagined story that he doesn't get crucified. He ends up getting married and having children. He basically lives as a normal man. Of course, this upset many, many, many people. There were protests. Yeah. The film got banned in many countries. And yet I had not seen it until a few days ago.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. So I was like, oh my God, let me watch it. First of all, it's from the 80s. Second of all, I love Willem Dafoe. I really do. And such a great interview, by the way. If you vaguely like Willem Dafoe now, you will fall head over heels in love with him if you listen to that interview.
While you're talking about Smartless, did you see that clip that was going around of Jason Bateman losing his shit while they were trying to interview was it Ryan Reynolds? I think it was Ryan Reynolds. And they couldn't connect, and he couldn't hear anyone, and he's absolutely losing his shit. And they're all killing themselves laughing because he's like now being recorded. He doesn't know, and they're in hysterics because he's just lost it.
I'll have to look for that. But I'm not surprised to hear that because he is the very serious one of the bunch. Old J Bay. J Bay is a lot more OCD than I expected him to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was Matthew McConaughey. It wasn't Ryan Reynolds.
So The Last Temptation of Christ is directed by Martin Scorsese. Now, I'm about to say something that is going to take all my film school cred away from me. I'm not a Martin Scorsese fan.
Okay. I didn't know that's a thing, but okay.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like all film school people worship the ground that Martin Scorsese walks on, pretty much. I loved Goodfellas, but pretty much everything else he's done has just been so self-indulgent, so long, so slow. And unfortunately, this movie is also a little bit long and a little bit slow. But I did kind of enjoy it. It's very weird. First of all, a young Willem Dafoe playing Jesus. Willem Dafoe, you don't think that he's a good-looking man. When I say Willem Dafoe, you're not picturing a good-looking man. But in his youth, he had it, I have to tell you. But the funniest thing is, so there's also Harvey Keitel in this movie, Barbara Hershey. There's a cameo by David Bowie, who looks very weird in the movie. Just it's a very short scene, but he looks decidedly weird. But I mean, it's the character. The funniest thing is Jesus and many of the people in this movie have very 80s hair because it was the 80s. So why wouldn't they have very 80s hair?
It's like they've got very 8 hair.
No.
It wouldn't be 8. It'd be anyway. I don't.
No, I said this movie was made before the year 8. Set before the year 8. This movie would have been set in what, 0? The year 0?
Yeah, I don't even know how that all works.
I don't know how it all works. You know me, I'm a heathen. How do I know any of this? But yes. I actually surprisingly knew quite a lot of the story. As I was watching the movie, I was kind of quoting what he was going to say before he said it.
Yeah.
Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I was quoting the Bible like a non-heathen. Anyway, it's very good. It's a very good film. I can see why, it's considered a classic and all those things. I can also see why it was very controversial and a lot of people were very upset by it because there is some serious sex in this movie.
Well, I mean, it's called the Last Temptation. I mean, kind of goes, okay, what could that be, right? I see it carried a disclaimer stating this film is not based on the Gospels, but upon the fictional exploration of the eternal spiritual conflict.
Yes.
That's a cop-out if I've ever seen
one. But that's not going to make the real Christians feel any better. You know what I'm saying? They were going to be upset no matter what.
I see Peter Gabriel did the score. That's wild.
Oh, and it is beautiful. The soundtrack is magnificent. In fact, we're watching it and we're going, is this Vangelis? At first, we were like, it's that amazing. And then I looked, I was like, oh my God, it was Peter Gabriel. I'm not going to give any spoilers because let's just say it's not the Bible story you know. Interesting, and I'm glad I finally watched it. And I appreciate Willem so much more. But yeah, I really just love all the stuff he said in that interview. And it's made me want to go and watch a whole lot of his films that I've missed over the years. I did recently watch Existence, where he's great in that, which was from the 90s. But it's amazing because this movie, 1988, he looks 20 years younger than he looked in Existence, which was only like, I don't know, maybe 10 years later or whatever. But he's just great.
He was drinking that Illuminati Hollywood blood. I remember, so listen, you understand, like I went to a Catholic school, raised very Catholic, I'm still Catholic. I wouldldn't watch this movie, right?
I think it would make you feel guilty. You'd have to go and say 100 Hail Marys or whatever it is that you do.
Right, but I do remember the controversy and it was quite a thing. I don't think this movie showed in South Africa until way late 90s on TV. I like it. I remember.
Oh yeah, which is probably why it's definitely why I didn't see it when I was at film school, because I don't think it was available.
Wouldn't have been in cinemas. Yeah.
Oh, definitely not. No.
Yeah.
Although chances are Minisini and Hillbrow showed it at some point because they showed everything.
Are probably going to do it. Listen, there were terrorist attacks. They set fires to theaters while this was going on. People got attacked. So Roger Ebert got death threats. And Martin Scorsese got death threats. I'd imagine, I mean, he doesn't promote his religion, but I mean, being of Italian descent. You're
going to assume he's Catholic, right?
I mean, is that safe to assume? Martin Scorsese religion, and he's Catholic. He said he's Catholic. I'm most comfortable as a Catholic. So... And he wanted to be a priest. Okay. Right,
well, aren't all Catholics conflicted? Is that like not a thing?
Exactly. Everyone's conflicted, Dori.
Also, remember, it's based on a book. He literally just made a movie of a book. He wasn't saying this is what really happened. So, yeah.
Hey, and listen, you got to challenge yourself, and that's what faith is, right? It's about challenging and seeing alternate possibilities and alternate realities, and you kind of got to make your mind up over that. I do like that there was a character, a guy called Paul Greco, played a zealot. So I really hope that he was. I'd love on my IMDb to have a credit as a zealot.
And Leo Marx as Satan.
Oh wow, big call. On my movie, I'm going to tell you that I regret it. So a couple of weeks ago, I started this Burt Reynolds thing, right? I'm like, Burt Reynolds.
Are we still on Burt Reynolds?
Yeah, I said I'd do 3. So I got to close it off, and I'm kind of like, oh man, that was one too far. Because I'm feeling what a lot of Burt Reynolds fans in the 80s felt. Because Burt Reynolds was like on the cusp of greatness. He had it all. Leading man looks, the charm, the charisma, could carry a movie. And then he just started making the same movie. So either he made a movie about a guy in a car, or he made a movie about an angry man doing stuff. So, and he just kept making the same movie. He did Cannonball Run, and then he did always Smoking the Bandit, Cannonball Run, Stroker Ace. Then he did like a whole bunch of these nondescript action movies. Turns out that at the time he was going through a terribly messy divorce with Lonnie Anderson, and they were just fighting. He just needed money. So he was like,
I'll take any role kind of vibe.
He says in his book, you want to be artistic, but sometimes you just got to be realistic. So I was taking anything, right? And I think it reaches its crescendo in my movie this week called Rent-A-Cop, right?
Okay.
Where normally when I'm faced with a whole bunch of movies, which should I watch? Which should I talk about? I normally go for the ones that were won or nominated for Golden Raspberries, which is normally a sign that a movie's terrible. I'm like, that's what I'm going for. I don't want the art house stuff. I want the Golden Raspberry. And I find this one, it got a whole bunch because in Rent-A-Cop, Burt Reynolds' co-star was Liza Minnelli. Here's the scenario. Burt Reynolds is a cop. They go on this massive drug bust. Things go wrong. A whole bunch of cops get killed, right? But during this, why the things don't go to plan? Because Liza Minnelli plays a prostitute in this movie, which is like... Liza Minnelli is the least prostitute person I've ever seen in my life. Like, I mean, come on. Like, nobody... I mean, whatever, okay? So now because he has to get her out the line of fire, things go wrong. All the cops get killed but him. He now gets accused that, oh, you set this up, and so convenient and everything. So now he gets kicked off the police force. He becomes a bodyguard. And then Liza Minnelli, now having been involved in this whole thing, says someone's after her. She hires him as her bodyguard, and shenanigans ensue. Right? So it's a lot of things. He then takes a job one of his jobs is as a department store Santa, and he gets fired from that because he attacks a guy shoplifting. And they then now go and they've got to figure out who set the cops up, who was it, what's the whole thing for. It was all set up by a guy called Dancer, right? Who loves dancing. He's a murderer. So when he goes out, he's like wears all black motorbike helmet, shoots people, but he loves dancing. And there's scenes with him dancing because he just loves dancing. You'd think that this movie, it's one of those movies where they say, how? It seems like everybody involved was making a different movie. So Liza Minnelli thinks she's like in a total off-Broadway thing, just camping it up and hamming up every scene like only she can do. Burt Reynolds thinks he's doing some serious action movie. The director is shooting some like fucking art noir piece of crap. And like no point does it seem like anyone spoke to each other. It's just like, it's a comedy. It's supposed to be a comedy, right?
Oh.
But there are so many weird things that happen. One of the funniest scenes is... Liza Minnelli goes into a club, and it's like very insinuated. We see it's a gay club, and she's not like in her element. But some of the lines that come from the people that talk to her, like one person just says, "Oh, my darling, I love your muff." Says, I love your muff.
Okay,
just so weird. So of course they start falling in love with each other. They make the most what's the word? They're just not a couple. They just do not work. There is no chemistry. They don't look like they belong together. They both were massive stars. Yeah. But there is nothing going on. This movie is a lot of nothing, and it is called Rent-A-Cop. Don't watch it. But it closes off my Burt Reynolds
terrible
series.
Yes, okay. Yeah. You're like, I'm done now.
I understand now why people lost their patience with Burt Reynolds, because you saw the slideshow last week. You saw some of the photos you put up that 80 show say, Burt Reynolds, daddy, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going, wow, why didn't it work? And then you start watching some of the movies and he goes, hey man, I did it for the money. I did it for the money. And it's very evident. He just started calling in his roles.
Oh, what a shame, actually. Could have gone very differently. I blame Lonnie Anderson.
Yep. Well, I mean, they were kind of taking shots at each other in their various autobiographies, because he did one called My Life, where he's saying, the divorce was terrible. She then does one, My Life in High Heels, where she's talking about how she was forced to pay for everything and she just felt that it's time for money back. He then comes writes another one where he says she wanted him to years later, because this was going for years. She wanted him to sell stuff from Boogie Nights. It's a thing. It's a whole thing.
Messy.
But,
messy.
I'm sorry, Burt Reynolds. We weren't here for a long time. We were here for a good time, you and I. So yes. I move on from him. Just before we go, Dori, we're talking about controversies, right? You spoke about the Last Temptation of Christ. What was probably in my world at the time that was more controversial around my school, and people aren't talking about movies of such. They're talking about the evil that is Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes.
Oh. Right, Garbage Pail
Kids. That was controversial at every school, I think. Actually,
yeah. I've got hundreds of them still. I've still got my whole collection. I've got all of them,
dude. They're probably worth a fortune. I'm sure we've had this discussion, but they're probably worth a fortune.
Not worth shit. They're not worth shit.
Really?
Not worth anything. They're not worth anything, Dori. But
that's crazy.
I stumbled upon a news report from the 80s with parents in an absolute state about the garbage pail kids. Now, this is America, but I'm telling you, this happened in South Africa, up and down the country. Now,
Is
when you
it
hear it,
satanic panic?
it's one. Is it more or less? Just take a listen.
Uncle Sam with his finger up his nose. Here shows mother wanted for child abuse. And you can put fill your mother's name in right here.
They're called the Garbage Pail Kids, a parody on Cabbage Patch Dolls, but parents aren't laughing.
He's sitting there with a button in his lap ready to, or he does, he blows his head off, and when it comes off, it looks like the atomic bomb. It looks communistic. It looks like maybe someone is trying to break the American family.
The bubble gum and cards are made by a Pennsylvania company, but they're being sold locally at 7-Eleven stores and Toys R Us. Parents are banding together to get the product off store shelves. The protest is being organized by parents of children who attend the Daybridge Learning Center in Duncanville. Parents who've put their concerns on paper in the form of a petition.
This is a petition that some of the parents have decided that we would like to circulate to try to get the Garbage Patch Kids taken off of the market. They depict violence and destruction of children and by children. It defaces different United States monuments and Uncle Sam.
7-year-old Joe Tucker says the Garbage Pail Kids are popular at his school.
Everybody in my classroom, they've always wanting them.
Duncanville parents will circulate the petition this weekend and take it to local distributors next week. Officials at 7-Eleven and Toys R Us were not available for comment today. Cindy Kirkendall, Channel 5 News.
Kind of looks communistic.
I mean, I can kind of see it.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you cannot.
Because these are very conservative people, and the Garbage Pail Kids were gross. So they were like, "Oh my God, this is terrible. How do we stop our children from being, influenced by this terrible thing?" So then they were looking for the things.
I have to tell you, so I'll put the video up on that 80 Show Say Facebook page, that all those people looked exactly like you imagined them to look, right?
I'm sure they did.
The little fuddy-duddy 80s housewife, concerned mom, one of those that are afraid, one of those. And,
yes.
I mean, but their point isn't that they're disgusting. Their point is that they're communistic and trying to break up the American family because someone's head blows up. But
there was the whole communist panic. I mean, never mind satanic panic. There was the whole communist panic.
Which one was worse? But, I mean, maybe one brought on the other. So first communists, and then once you're communist.
I mean, aren't communists technically satanic because they don't believe in God, right?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't wade into that water. Not like I'm upset. Not like I'm worried. But I don't want to go there. But anyway.
I think there's been enough religious controversy on the show today.
I think so. And you know what? Listen, message to parents. Cards featuring disgusting little creatures, nor music videos, nor cartoons, nor sacrilegious movies are not going to fuck up your children. You are going to fuck up your children. And that is a message from me.
Right. Your public service announcement of the week.
That's your public service announcement from the number one or the best music podcast, definitely the best 80s music podcast across Africa. What a week it has been. Thank you so much, Dori. We spoke about so many things. The sphere.
So many.
Yes. I try to make that U2 joke work so many times, but I kind of just didn't ever land. But listen, watch this space. We are going after the Body Beat crew. I'm going to bring them here. I think that is my mission from this week. Dori, anything you want to take out of this week ahead?
No, I think I'm just going to keep following Paulie Shaw to see. I'm sure he's going to do something else cool if he can't do that movie. He's still cool in my books.
Still, I watched Biodome, his 90s movie the other day. Still funny. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, if you grew up in the 90s or like you're a like a young person in the 90s, you love Pauly Shore. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I have fond memories.
Everything you hear on the show today can be found on That 80 Show SA on Facebook. Give us a like, give us a follow. If you hear this podcast, you like it, be a friend and tell a friend, is what they say. Thanks for joining me, Dori. Goodbye.
Bye.